Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Elements of Cost, Overhead, Part 1. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Chetna Marvadi, Assistant Professor, School of Commerce, Gujarat University. Today, we will learn Overhead chapter. Overheads are third important element of total cost determination. Its cost control is another aspect of cost accounting. Overhead is not direct cost. All direct costs are directly charged to product cost because direct cost is easily identifiable, but indirect cost is not charged. It is to be allocated and apportioned amongst different departments. Overheads are indirect cost, thus understanding of its terminologies like data collection, allocation and absorption is very much essential. In this module, we will study about number 1, meaning of overheads, number 2, definitions of overhead given by the experts of the field, number 3, classification of overhead, function wise, behavior wise and element wise, number 4, accounting of overheads, number 5, steps in distribution of overhead, number 6, meaning of allocation and apportionment, number 7, understanding about production and service department. Number 8, practical understanding on allocation and number 9, practical understanding on primary apportionment. Let's understand meaning of overheads. In cost accounting, the total cost is broadly divided into direct cost and indirect cost. The total of all direct cost, that is direct material, direct wages and direct expenses, is termed as prime cost, and the total of all indirect cost, that is indirect material, indirect wages and indirect expenses, is known as overheads. Overheads comprises all indirect expenditure. The CIMA of UK has defined the overhead as the aggregate of indirect materials cost, indirect wages and indirect expenses. Overheads are classified in 3 categories: indirect material cost, indirect labor cost, indirect expense cost. According to Weldon, overhead may be defined as the cost of indirect material, indirect labor and such other expenses including services as cannot conveniently be charged direct to specific cost unit. Alternatively, overheads are all expenses other than direct expenses. Blocker and Wetmer stated that overhead costs are the operating cost of a business which cannot be traced directly to a particular unit of output. In brief, whenever term overhead is used, immediately think about indirect material cost, indirect labor cost and indirect expenses. These are those costs which are to be allocated on the scientific or equitable basis amongst unit of production. Direct costs are not having special classification, but overheads are different types of cost, thus it has classification. We will study it now. Classification of overhead in 3 categories: by function, by behavior and by element. Let's study all the classification one by one. First classification is classification by function. The main group of overheads on the basis of this classification are: number 1, production overhead, number 2, administration overhead, number 3, selling overhead, number 4, distribution overhead. Let's understand production overhead. It is expense of production department where production work is carried out. It is also recognized as factory overhead, works overhead or manufacturing overhead. It means indirect expenditure is incurred in connection with production operations is treated as production overhead. It is the total of factory indirect material cost like lubricants, consumables, stores, indirect wages like salary to supervisor, work manager, leave pay, maternity pay, and indirect expenses like rent of factory building, repairs, insurance and depreciation of machines. This cannot be charged directly to product costs like direct materials and direct labor, but production overhead is an invisible part of the finished product. Let's understand administration overhead. This overhead represents the cost of formulating the policy, directing the organization and controlling the operations of an undertaking which not directly related with production. This also includes cost of indirect materials, labor and expenses. Indirect material includes cost of office printing related expense, office computer related stationery. In case of indirect labor, salary to manager, director and other staff working for office administration. In case of indirect expenses, office rent, repairs and maintenance of office equipment, mobile expenses, lighting expenses, etc. are considered. Now let's understand selling overhead. These are the cost of seeking to create and stimulate demand or of securing orders. In other words, these are those overheads which are incurred to promote our sales. From the viewpoint of indirect material cost like invoice printing, printing of catalog is considered. Indirect labor includes salary of sales manager, salesman commission to the agent, etc. While indirect expenses include rent of sales office and showroom, advertisement costs, bad debts, repairs, maintenance and insurance of sales office, etc. Let's understand distribution overhead. It comprises of all expenditure incurred from the time when the product is completed in factory until it reaches its destination or customer. It includes packing cost, carriage inward, delivery van cost, warehousing cost, etc. Both selling and distribution cost are incurred after the production work is over. Next classification is classification by element. Under this method, the classification is done according to the nature and source of the expenditure. This method follows logically from the definition of overhead cost. On this basis, expenses are classified under three main groups which are: first, indirect materials, material cost which cannot be allocated but which are to be apportioned or absorbed by cost center or cost unit. Examples are fuel, lubricants, tools for general use, printing cost of production, administration and selling department, etc. Second, indirect labor or wages. Indirect wages are those which cannot be allocated but which are to be apportioned or absorbed by cost centers or cost units. Examples are wages of sweeper, idle time wages, maintenance and repair wages, leave pay, employers' contribution to ESI, etc. Third, indirect expenses. Expenses which cannot be allocated but which are to be apportioned to or absorbed by cost center or cost units are indirect expenses. For example, power, depreciation, insurance, taxes, rates and rents, etc. Next classification is classification by behavior or variability. Expenses which are changes with production. Expenses remain constant irrespective level of production, and expenses having changes to certain level of production and then remain constant are classified in the category of variability. Different overhead costs behave in different ways when volume of production changes. On the basis of behavior, overhead may be classified into number 1 fixed overhead, number 2 variable overhead, number 3 semi-fixed or semi-variable overhead. Let's understand fixed overhead. These overheads remain unaffected or fixed in total amount by fluctuations in volume of output. Examples are rent and rates, managerial salaries, building depreciation, postage, stationery, legal expense, etc. Let's see the graph of fixed cost. Assume production is on x-axis and the cost is on y-axis, where irrespective level of production, whether the production is of 0 unit or 40 units, total fixed cost would remain same, that is 200. Variable overhead, this is the cost which in aggregate tends to vary in direct proportion to changes in the volume of output. Variable overheads per unit remain fixed. Examples are indirect materials, indirect labor, salesman commission, power, light, fuel, etc. Let's see the graph of variable cost. Assume production is on x-axis and cost is on y-axis. You can see direct relationship between production and total variable cost. When production increases, simultaneously total variable cost also increases. Semi-fixed overhead, this overhead is partly fixed and partly variable. In other words, initially partly cost is fixed and after that it according to changes in the volume of production. Examples, electricity or power bill, etc. Whether you are using electricity or power or not, but some fixed charges are to be paid. See the graph of semi-fixed cost. Assume production is on x-axis and cost is on y-axis. Your production or output is D to F, and for this range production D to B is fixed cost, but beyond B point cost is changed into variable form. Accounting of overhead is also one of the important concepts of cost accounting. Let's understand it. Accounting of overheads. Direct cost like direct materials, direct labor and direct expenses are easily identifiable and straightway charged to production. Further, direct costs are variable in nature from the viewpoint of behavioral classification, but this is not possible in overhead cost. Overheads can be fixed, variable and semi-variable or semi-fixed. Thus, the distribution of overhead cost to cost unit is one of the most complex problem of cost accounting. This is because overhead costs cannot be identified with individual cost unit and there are no accounting means of exact distribution. Therefore, such costs are analyzed and distributed to various cost center and cost unit on some relevant basis. It might be subjective in some cases. For example, it is not possible to exactly calculate the amount of rent that should be charged to a particular cost unit, and thus it has to be distributed on some acceptable basis. The cost accountant is constantly searching for equitable base to distribute overhead cost to cost units and divisions of business enterprise, and quite often he needs to exercise his own judgment in this regard. For instance, he may apportion rent to various departments of the factory on the basis of area occupied by each such department. Similarly, labor welfare expenses may be apportioned on the basis of number of workers in each department. In cost accounting, specific procedure for distribution of overhead cost is developed. Now, we will understand this procedure for factory overheads. Steps in distribution of overhead. The systematically developed procedure is followed in finding out the overhead cost of individual cost units of production. First, collection of data of overhead. Second, allocation of overhead to production departments and service department. 3. apportionment of overhead to production department and service department. According to given figure, step number 1 include point number 1 to 3. Number 4, reapportionment of total overheads of each service department to production department. Number 5, absorption of overhead. Many times, allocation, apportionment and absorption terminologies are used as a synonym of each other. In cost accounting, all these terminologies have their specific meaning and use of them. It is important to note that in the organization, to support production departments, several service departments may also exist. All these steps of overhead distributions are applicable to production and service departments. Now, we will understand all steps in chronological order in the context of distribution of overheads. Step 1, collection of data of overhead. As we studied that overheads are different types, their places of happening are different. The happening of overheads may be in factory, administration office and sales department. So, for accounting purpose, authentic accounting data is collected. Sources of data are for material requisition, for recording of indirect material cost. Number 2, wages analysis book for recording indirect wages. Number 3, invoices or cash memo for recording of indirect wages. Number 4, cost journal for recording of adjustment entries like depreciation, notional rent, outstanding and prepaid expenses. Number 5, subsidiary records for recording of cost of scrap, wastage, idle time, etc. Step 2, allocation of overheads to production departments and service department. Allocation of overheads is the process of charging the full amount of an individual item of cost directly to a cost center for which this item of cost was incurred. Let us understand allocation with the help of an illustration. Illustration 1, X Limited has 2 production departments and 2 service departments and provide you related cost data. So, cost data of production department P1 and P2 and service department S1 and S2 are given. Direct material for production department P1 rupees 40,000, for production department P2 rupees 30,000, service department S1 rupees 20,000, service department S2 rupees 10,000. Direct wages for production department P1 rupees 20,000, for production department P2 rupees 15,000, for service department S1 rupees 10,000, for service department S2 rupees 5,000. Direct expenses for P1 rupees 10,000, for P2 7,500, for S1 rupees 5,000, for S2 rupees 2,500. Indirect material for P1 rupees 5,000, for P2 rupees 5,000, for S1 rupees 5,000, for S2 rupees 5,000. Indirect wages for production department P1 rupees 2,500, for production department P2 rupees 2,500, for service department S1 rupees 5,000 and for S2 rupees 2,500. Prepare the statement showing allocation of overhead. Let us have a look at solution of this allocation. Statement showing allocation of overheads. Direct material cost for production department P1 and P2 is given as dash, as here we are in the overhead chapter and we are allocating overhead expenses and direct material is a part of prime cost. Service department direct material cost is rupees 20,000 and service department S2 direct material cost is rupees 10,000. Same way, for direct wages and direct expenses, here we are allocating overhead costs and therefore production departments P1 and P2 is having dash amount and direct wages for service department S1 is rupees 10,000 and service department S2 is rupees 5,000. Direct expenses for service department S1 is rupees 5,000 and service department S2 is rupees 2,500. Indirect material for production department P1 is 5000, production department P2 is 5000, service department S1 is 5000, service department S2 is also 5000 rupees. Indirect wages for production department P1 and P2 is rupees 2500 each, and for service department S1 it is rupees 5000 and service department S2 it is rupees 2500. Thus, total overhead allocated for production department P1 is rupees 7500, production department P2 is rupees 7500, service department S1 is 45,000 rupees and service department S2 is rupees 25,000. The notes for the solution are: number 1, direct material, direct labor and direct expenses of production department are direct cost. These will not be treated as overheads for production departments. It is a statement of overheads allocation. Number 2, direct materials, direct labor and direct expenses of service departments are treated as part of overheads and will be allocated subsequently to production departments. Step 3, apportionment of overheads to production departments and service departments. There are two types of apportionment. Number 1, primary apportionment. Number 2, secondary apportionment. Apportionment of overhead is the process of charging proportion of common items of cost to two or more cost center on some equitable basis. This is called primary apportionment, where all overheads are distributed amongst all concerned department irrespective nature of department, that is production department or service department. For example, rent of a factory is rupees 30,000. In factory, there are two production departments A and B and two service departments C and D. This rupees 30,000 should be distributed in all these departments on equitable basis like area occupied by each department. Further, assume that area occupied by the departments are 500, 400, 200 and 100 square feet respectively for A, B, C and D. So, rent cost of each department will be proportion of 5:4:2:1. Thus, the rent of rupees 30,000 will be rupees 12,500, rupees 10,000, rupees 5,000 and rupees 2,500 respectively for production and service departments A, B, C and D respectively. In brief, the distribution process of common cost of different departments on equitable basis is apportionment, but this is primary apportionment. In case of secondary distribution, overheads of service departments are apportioned to production departments and sometimes overheads of one service department are apportioned to production and other service departments also. At the end, in any method, finally total cost of all service departments will be apportioned to related production departments. After completion of this apportionment of cost, each production department is ascertained. It is explained hereafter. Let us understand production and service departments. Production and service departments from the viewpoint of cost accounting and specially cost determination, the understanding about production and service department is inevitable. Departments are classified as either production or service department. A production department is one that engages in actual manufacture of product by changing the shape, form or nature of material or by assembling the parts into finished product. Examples of production departments are melting shop, weaving department, spinning department, grinding department, etc. A service department, on the other hand, is one rendering a service that contributes in an indirect manner to the manufacture of the product, but which does not itself change the shape, form or nature of material that is converted into finished product. Examples are labor welfare department, purchasing department, accounting department, canteen, etc. There are certain costs which are common in nature for production and service department. So, selection of equitable base is to be done. Let us see some well developed bases for apportionment. Different items of overheads are apportioned on different bases. Some of the common base or equitable bases of apportionment of different items of overhead are: number 1, overhead cost like rent and other building expenses, lighting and heating, fire precaution services, air conditioning are to be apportioned based on floor area or volume of department. Number 2, overhead costs like fringe benefits, labor welfare expenses, timekeeping, personal office expenses and supervision. The base of apportionment is number of workers. Number 3, overhead costs like compensation to workers, holiday payments, ESI and PF contribution, fringe benefits. The base for apportionment is direct wages. Number 4, general overheads are to be distributed based on direct labor hours or direct wages or machine hours depending upon the method applied by the business unit. Number 5, overhead costs like depreciation of plant and machinery, repairs and maintenance of plant and machinery and insurance of stock. The base of apportionment is the capital value. Number 6, overhead costs like power or steam consumption, internal transport, managerial salaries. The base for apportionment is technical estimates. Number 7, lighting expenses. The base for apportionment is number of light point or area. Number 8, electric power. It is to be apportioned based on horsepower of machines or number of machine hours or value of machines. Number 9, overhead costs like material handling cost and stores overhead are to be apportioned based on weight of material or volume of materials or value of materials. It should be noted that some overhead in the studied list can be apportioned on more than one basis. The choice of an appropriate base is really a matter of judgment. For example, welfare expenses may be apportioned on the basis of number of employees or total wages. Similarly, lighting expenses may be apportioned on the basis of number of light points in each department or on the basis of floor area. For allocation and apportionment of overhead, a statement called overhead distribution summary is prepared and explained. Let us understand illustration 2. The information is supplied from the costing record of a company. Common overhead of rent rupees 2000, maintenance rupees 1200, depreciation rupees 900, lighting cost rupees 200, insurance for stock rupees 1000, employees contribution to PF rupees 300, energy rupees 1800, supervision rupees 3000. Thus, total common overheads of rupees 10,400 are given. Along with the cost data, department wise data for the equitable basis is also given. Equitable base of floor space is given in square yard for department A, B, C and D. So, floor space for department A is 150 square yard, for department B 110 square yard, for department C 90 square yard, for department D 50 square yard. Number of workers for department A 24, department B 16, department C 12, department D 8. Total direct wages in terms of rupees is given for department A rupees 8000, for department B rupees 6000, department C rupees 4000, department D rupees 2000. cost of machinery of Department A is rupees 24,000, Department B rupees 18,000, Department C rupees 12,000, Department D rupees 6,000. Stock of goods of Department A is rupees 15,000, Department B rupees 9,000, Department C rupees 6,000, Department D dash. You are required to prepare a statement showing apportionment of cost to various departments. Now let us have a look at the solution of primary distribution of overhead. So the statement is showing primary overhead apportionment, that is distribution. So it is having total 7 columns. First column is of cost, second column is base of apportionment, third column is total amount in terms of rupees, and remaining 4 columns are for the departments A, Department B, Department C and Department D. Now we will allocate common overhead cost given in the example based on the equitable basis given in the example. First common cost is rent. Rent is to be apportioned based on floor space, that is in the ratio of 15:11:9:5. Total amount for rent given is rupees 2,000. So it is to be apportioned in all 4 departments in the ratio of 15:11:9:5 as for Department A rupees 750, for Department B rupees 550, for Department C rupees 450 and for Department D rupees 250. Next overhead cost given is maintenance. It is to be allocated based on cost of machinery, that is in the ratio of 4:3:2:1. Total maintenance cost given is 1200 and apportioned amount for Department A is rupees 480, for Department B rupees 360, for Department C rupees 240, for Department D rupees 120. Next cost given is depreciation, and base of apportionment for depreciation is cost of machinery. It is again to be distributed in the ratio of 4:3:2:1. Total depreciation given is rupees 900. Apportionment amount for Department A comes to rupees 360, for Department B rupees 270, for Department C rupees 180, for Department D rupees 90. Lighting cost is to be distributed based on floor space in the ratio of 15:11:9:5. Total amount of 200 is distributed in Department A as rupees 75, for Department B rupees 55, for Department C rupees 45, for Department D rupees 25. Insurance for stock amount given is rupees 1000 and it is to be allocated based on stock of goods, that is in the ratio of 5:3:2, and allocation comes to for Department A rupees 500, for Department B rupees 300, for Department C rupees 200. Next cost given is employers contribution to provident fund. Amount given is 300 and it is to be allocated based on direct wages, that is in the ratio of 4:3:2:1. Amount for Department A comes to rupees 120, for Department B rupees 90, for Department C rupees 60, for Department D rupees 30. Next overhead cost given is energy cost. Total amount given is 1800 and base for apportionment is cost of machinery. Again it is to be distributed in the ratio of 4:3:2:1. Apportionment for Department A comes to rupees 720, for Department B comes to rupees 540, for Department C rupees 360, for Department D rupees 180. Last cost given is supervision cost. Total amount given is rupees 3000 and it is to be distributed based on number of workers, that is in the ratio of 6:4:3:2. Supervision cost for Department A comes to rupees 1200, for Department B comes to rupees 800, for Department C it is rupees 600 and for Department D it is rupees 400. So, total primary overhead apportionment to department A is rupees 4205. For department B, it is 2965. For department C, rupees 2135. For department D, rupees 1095, and total cost given is 10,400. Let's understand the explanation for this solution. Number 1, rent of rupees 2000 is apportioned on the basis of area occupied. Here, in the given basis, area occupied can be considered as one of the most important and relevant bases, that is equitable base. Thus, the rent is apportioned in all the departments on the basis of area occupied. Apportionment of other costs also done in same manner by applying equitable base. Number 2, there is no stock in department D, thus no apportionment is done. Number 3, there are common costs and their total is of rupees 10,400 is apportioned in different concerned department on equitable or rational basis. Let's see another illustration in this context. Illustration 3. Cadila Company Limited has 3 production departments A, B and C and 2 service department D and E. All relevant figures are extracted from the records of the company. Common cost of rent and rates given is rupees 5000, indirect wages rupees 1500, depreciation of machinery rupees 10,000, general lighting cost rupees 600, power rupees 1500, sundries rupees 10,000, thereby total common cost is rupees 28,600. Further details are available. Equitable base given is floor space, measurement is 10,000. For department A, it is 2000. For department B, 2500. Department C, 3000. Department D, 2000. Department E, 500. Light points. Total light points given are 60. So, for department A, 10 light points. For department B, 15. For department C, 20. For department D, 10. And for department E, 5. Direct wages in terms of rupees given 10,000 rupees. For department A, it is rupees 3000. For department B, rupees 2000. For department C, rupees 3000. For department D, rupees 1500. For department E, 500. Horsepower of machinery is given. It is total horsepower is 150. For department A, it is 60 horsepower. For department B, 30 horsepower. For department C, 50 horsepower. For department D, 10 horsepower. And for department D, dash. Value of machinery is given in terms of rupees 2,50,000. For department A, value is rupees 60,000. For department B, value is rupees 80,000. For department D, value is rupees 1 lakh. For department C, value is rupees 1 lakh. For department D, value is rupees 5,000. For department E, value is rupees 5,000. Apportionment of cost to various departments on the most equitable basis. Let's have a look at the solution. In this question, direct wages are given for apportionment purpose, but wages of service department will be taken as overheads and would become part of total cost of service department. Total cost of overheads of service departments D and E rupees 4,625 and rupees 1,575 will be apportioned to the production departments as a secondary apportionment or secondary distribution. For direct materials and direct expenses of service department, same treatment will be given. Let's understand the solution of primary overhead distribution for department A, B and C, which are production department, and department D and E, which are our service department. First expense given is direct wages. Base of apportionment here is actual and amount total given is rupees 2000. Here we will consider direct wages of service departments only That is, direct wages of service department D is rupees 1500 and service department E is rupees 500. For the production department A, B and C, we will not consider this direct wages as we are allocating overheads. Second cost given is rent and rates. Base for apportionment is floor space and it is to be distributed in the ratio of 4:5:6:4:1. Total amount given is rupees 5000. So, for production departments A, it comes to rupees 1000, for B rupees 1250, for C 1500 and for service department D it is rupees 1000 and service department E rupees 250. General lighting given is rupees 600 and it is to be apportioned based on number of light months. For production department A, B and C, it comes to rupees 100, 150 and 200 respectively, whereas for service department D and E, it comes to rupees 100 and rupees 50 respectively. Indirect wages is given rupees 1500 and it is to be apportioned based on direct wages. So, for service department D and E, it comes to rupees 225 and 75 respectively, and for production departments it comes to rupees 450, 300 and 450 respectively. Power is to be apportioned based on horsepower of machinery. Total amount of power given is rupees 1500. So, it comes to rupees 600, 300 and 500 for production department A, B and C respectively, whereas it comes to rupees 100 for service department D and nil for service department E. Depreciation of machinery value given is rupees 10,000 and it is to be apportioned based on value of machinery. The allocation for production department A, B and C is rupees 2400, rupees 3200 and rupees 4000 respectively, whereas it is rupees 200 and 200 for service department D and E respectively. Sundries given is rupees 10,000. It is to be allocated based on direct wages. So, for production department A, B and C, it comes to rupees 3000, 2000 and 3000 respectively, whereas for service department D, it comes to rupees 1500 and for service department E, it comes to rupees 500. Thus, total departmental overhead for production department A is rupees 7550, for department B it is 7200, for department C rupees 9650, for service department D it is rupees 4625, for service department E it is rupees 1575, thereby allocating total departmental overheads of rupees 30,600. Cost accounting is a branch of accounting and accounting is based on explicit set of rules. Thus, it is treated as science. Cost accounting also has set of rules which are developed by expert of the field. Here, the problem of distribution of common cost is solved by developing equitable base. We have studied this aspect in detail. In the next module, we will be continued with secondary apportionment. In this module, we have studied about number 1, meaning of overheads, number 2, definitions of overhead given by the experts of the field, number 3, classification of overheads, that is functional classification, behavioral classification and element wise classification, number 4, accounting of overheads, number 5, steps in distribution of overheads, number 6, meaning of allocation and apportionment, number 7, understanding about production and service department, number 8, practical problem on allocation and number 9, practical problem on primary apportionment. I hope that this module would definitely clarify the basic concept pertaining to overheads and its terminologies. We will see remaining aspect of overheads like number 1, secondary apportionment or secondary distribution, number 2, different methods of reapportionment, that is first, apportionment to production departments only, second, apportionment to production departments as well as service department either through non-reciprocal basis or reciprocal basis. Dear students, try to understand the fundamentals of overheads which are discussed in this module 1. This clarity will help you to study subsequent aspect of overhead. Thank you for listening carefully.